Good evening, baseball fans. How you doing? Man, oh man, Julio Rodriguez, he is getting paid. We're going to talk about his historic extension. There's a lot of details about the extension for Julio Rodriguez that we're going to break down. Tyler Glasnow also signing an extension with the Rays. We're going to break that down as well. Bryce Harper returning from the IL. We're going to talk some James Paxton, some Cade Cavalli. We got some Arte Moreno. What the heck are the Angels doing? Let's get to it. And good evening, baseball fans. Hello. How is everyone doing? Hope everyone had themselves a good week. Hope everyone is ready for the weekend. I have been just dead, and I was looking very much forward to this weekend, and I somehow made it. And what better way to start the weekend than to go over some juicy baseball news with all of you. Thank you for stopping by tonight. Hope everyone's doing well. A lot of familiar faces in the chat. You know, I figured Friday night, I don't know if we're going to get a whole ton of people in here tonight. It's Friday. People are off doing stuff, having fun on their Friday night, starting off their weekend. So not expecting a big old crowd in here tonight like we do for the power rankings. Hot Takes was pretty good the other night. So thank you everyone for stopping by for that. I'm definitely going to be back on the hot take train honestly, I would love to do hot takes every single week if possible. So always be on the lookout for, on the community tab on my channel, always be on the lookout for the post where you could submit your hot take. I would like to do those every single week. So always be on the lookout for those. And, but yeah, and also just random streams like this, especially during the season. You know, there's not a whole lot of news, but when there is news, I do like to go live and just give my thoughts on everything. So always be on the lookout. And the way you can be on the lookout for that is simply by hitting the bell notification. Hit that bell notification. That way, every single time I go live, you can see it. So hit that bell. Also, everyone, hit the like button for us. That's going to help this get out there into the algorithm. Hey, let's get a few more people in here. Share the stream. Go share it on Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Go to your mom's house. Share it there too. And hey, subscribe to the channel. If you are new, we're on our way to 27K. That's the goal by the end of the season. 30K by the end of the year is the goal. And everyone, also, don't forget about our partnerships here with SeatGeek. We use my code HIDE. You get $20 off your first purchase. And don't forget, we are partners with Prize Picks. Use my code GINGER. You will get a 100% deposit match. I saw someone used the code this past week for SeatGeek. So they got themselves $20 off. So whoever did that, thank you for doing that. And all right, everyone, let's get to it here. Julio Rodriguez, man, oh man, getting himself a very large contract, for just coming up this year. This guy completely skipped AAA. He has handled major league pitching like nothing. It is one of the best transitions, for a rookie of all time. Julio Rodriguez has been absolutely fantastic this year. And the man has earned himself a long-term contract before the season even ended. My goodness. We're going to talk about that. Tyler Glasnow, we'll talk about him too. We'll talk about a couple other things. So let's get to it here. But taking a look here, let's just get right to it. Here. Here we go. So, alrighty. On MLB trade rumors, Julio Rodriguez and the Mariners agree to an extension. Now, the best way to look at the breakdown at this, or on this, is Jeff Passan. He has an entire thread here where he just completely broke down everything. Jeff Passan doing a fantastic job of this. There's a lot to digest on Julio Rodriguez's extension with Seattle per ESPN sources. The deal could be for 8, 13, 16, or even 18 years. There's a whole lot of options in this deal, which I'm going to be honest with you, I kind of like that. He has the option to stick out his career in Seattle if that's what it ends up being. I mean, I love that. I love that he has those options there. It guarantees Rodriguez $210 million. If it maxes out, it will be the largest ever, $470 million. The details are important. Here they are. And what I love about that is that he has incentives throughout the contract. So, like, if he wants to earn all $470 million of that deal, he very well could. Or if he wants to go test out the market later on, around his age 30 season, he can go do that too. So it's really nice for Julio Rodriguez. It's also nice for the Mariners as well, because you got to think here, 13, even 8 years from now, 8 years, 13, 16 years from now, who knows the way the contracts are going these days, $470 million, who knows, that could end up being maybe somewhat of a bargain by that point. I mean, who knows? Could we end up seeing, like a $600 million player by that time? I don't know, man. But let's take a look here further. We do have a couple of super chats in. I'll get to those in a second there from Jimmy Productions. Thank you, Jimmy, for those. I'll get to those in just a minute. But Jeff Passan, the base of the deal, 8 years, 120. So that's the start. 8 years, 120. Pretty solid for a 21-year-old kid. It includes this season and runs through 2029. After 2028, the Mariners must decide whether to pick up a club option. So there's the first option, a club option. So the Mariners will have that choice. So we'll have to see what ends up happening by that point. And to be honest with you, if he's playing he's playing like this now, my goodness. I would imagine the way he is now, come that time, you got to think that club option would be such a bargain. The size and length of that depends on Rodriguez's performance in MVP voting. So that's another thing. So the better he does, the bigger the club option after 2028 will be. The option is for 8 or 10 years on top of the original deal. Depending on how Rodriguez fares in MVP voting, wins and finishes, it can range anywhere from $200 to $350 million. If the Mariners pick up the option, Rodriguez's guarantee in the deal is at least $320 million. I'm going to be honest, I love that. I think I think it's really creative. I think because that's what I want to see. I want to see these players, we don't see these guys just staying with the same organization for the rest of their career. At least he will have the option at that point to, do basically another full-size contract. I think that's great. And he's still, depending on how he finishes with MVP voting, it's a nice chunk of change. Will he want to maybe test out the free agent market at that point? Well, we don't know. Obviously we can't tell the future here, but he is looking rather good as of right now. So we'll just have to wait and see. He goes on further here. Now, if the Mariners don't pick up the option after year 7, Rodriguez has a player option after year 8 for 5 years and $90 million. Thus, the 13-year structure and $210 million floor. He could turn it down and hit free agency right before his 30th birthday, too. So that's another thing here. Again, it's a pretty complicated deal. So if the Mariners don't do the club option, then Rodriguez, after year 8, he will have an option. So that will be for 5 years, $90 million. Again, I love the flexibility of it. I just like that there's all these different dynamics to it. I feel like you're going to see a lot more contracts like this, where they have that flexibility to be able to stay with their teams long term. And I think, maybe not with Scott Boras clients, because that's not really what Scott Boras likes to do. He probably feels that, these guys, he wants to, obviously, all of these agents want to maximize their values. But I don't think Scott Boras would do something like this. Who knows? Maybe Scott Boras. The thing with Scott Boras is he adjusts to the market, right? He did the Carlos, Correa deal there. That was a pretty, unique contract. Scott Boras was really one of the first guys to have the player option or the club option, really emphasizing those options. So who knows? Maybe Scott Boras, you can end up seeing him do some kind of deals like this down the road. We'll have to just wait and see on that. But Jeff Passan, the last thing that he says here, the likeliest outcome, Julio Rodriguez is a Seattle Mariner through 2037 and makes at least $320 million, probably much more. And if he turns into the monster that he has shown he is in his rookie season, it could be the most important financially lucrative deal in American sports history. So Jeff Passan, he's thinking here he'll end up staying with the Mariners for the next 14 years, 14 years after this season. I think that's very possible. So I would imagine, so the thing is with the club option here, so the club option, it's after 2028. Now, the club option, that is for 8 to 10 years. So I would imagine the Mariners would want to do that. So we'll have to wait. I mean, at that point, I would feel like it's going to be worth it, you know? But then they also have the option where you never know where it could end up going. You know, who knows? Maybe Rodriguez, I mean, I'm not trying to, manifest this, but I'm just, you never know with some of these players. He's looking fantastic right now. The guy's looking like one of the next great players in baseball, but you never know. Who knows? Injury, something, whatever, life, I don't know. You never know. So I like it for the Mariners that if they have that option of being able to pick him up for another 8 to 10 years, they want to see how he does over the, the next, whatever it is, 7 years here or the next 8 years. So I love it. I love it for both sides. I love it for the Mariners. I love it for Julio Rodriguez, and I think this is a really creative deal. I think there's just a lot of different dynamics to it, and I think you are going to see a lot more deals like this. But overall, I do think it is a great deal. Jimmy Productions, yes, I just saw your super chats, my friend. Here we go, Jimmy Productions. What do you think about Joey Meneses? I never know how to say that. Joey Meneses. Joey Meneses? Here we go. Taking a look at his numbers, my friend. Right now, so is he with? He's in the Nationals. He's with the Nationals right now. He is off to a pretty hot start this year. 74 at bats, already gotten 24 hits. He's hitting 324. 6 homers, a 351 on base. I mean, he's 30 years old. So I mean, I feel like this is a guy. He's definitely exceeding some expectations right now. So, but with the track record that he's had, hasn't really been able to do all that much here. He's been in the minor leagues for a long time. A long time. He was with the Braves organization back in 2011. And, he's had a couple of decent years here. 2018 in AAA, hit 311 with a 360 on base. So has this guy ran into like the injury bug, or what is that? What has been the thing that has held him back? I'm going to be honest, I haven't really seen much on him, but he is doing really well this year. That's right. I remember his name back with the Red Sox in the organization, but he was with Portland last year. He had good numbers last year, but the Red Sox just never really turned to him. So he was a guy. He's just always been a minor league guy. But it's nice to see that he's gotten an opportunity here in the major leagues, and he's taking advantage of it. Who knows? Maybe he could end up being, a guy that, again, the track record, is he really going to be much of a starter at this point? If I were to go to the Nationals right now, do they have him starting? So, yeah, they do have him starting in right field. So, I mean, hey, this is his chance here. 30 years old, the clock is ticking. So, who knows? Maybe this is a guy, ends up finishing out the season pretty strong. And I would imagine, is he going to free agency soon? He's still a rookie. So, I'm not sure. Yeah, so he's still a rookie. So, he's going to be, I think the rules are the same no matter when you come up. So I would imagine, where is he here? Is he even on here? Yeah, he's not even on here. So I'm guessing that means he would be with the Nationals for a long time. I'm not quite sure of the rules on that. Like when they're 30 years old, usually I'm thinking with obviously rookies, you're a lot younger. But either way, the guy is playing very good and he's playing very well. And who knows? Maybe he's earning himself a spot on this team for next year. It's a nice story. This guy's been in the minor leagues for a long time. So I'm guessing along the way he's had injuries. If you're looking at the number of games that he's played, let me look at his minor league numbers. So he's really bounced around. Man. Yeah, he's been everywhere. So, I don't know. Hey, good story so far. I always like these guys, man, these journeyman minor league guys coming up, and finally having some success. So we'll have to pay attention to how he does for the rest of the season. So, Jimmy, thank you so much, my friend. Do appreciate that. So let's move on here. Julio Rodriguez, a massive deal. Also, I just noticed we do not have the music on. We don't have the music on. What do you know? I forget to do something. Let's get the music ready. But our next story here. We have another extension. So let's get this ready. And here we go. So our next story, we have Tyler Glasnow. There was a time where I wondered, the Rays, they like to get a little creative when it comes to, like making trades and whatnot. I always wondered, even though he had Tommy John, I wondered, if maybe a team would want to bite on Glasnow, and I don't know. I thought maybe there was always a chance that Glasnow could get traded, but to me, I think this is smart for the Rays to do, and I think he is coming back. Is he coming back soon? So, is he on his he should be. I can't remember is he coming back this year? Tyler Glasnow, 2023. So, I feel like I haven't. If I did see something, I'm completely going blank on it. So I don't know. Let me type in rehab assignment. Okay, so here we go. Rehab assignment coming soon. He threw his second live batting practice a few days ago and will face hitters once more before likely beginning a minor league rehab assignment. Glasnow reiterated after Tuesday's workout that his surgically repaired right elbow feels good, and he remains optimistic that he'll return from the 60-day IL this season. Glasnow's fastball topped out at around 97 miles an hour on Tuesday, and while he appears to have recaptured his pre-surgery velocity, regaining command of all his pitches may prove to be the greater challenge. So, with Tyler Glasnow here, taking a look at the deal, the Rays announced agreement Friday on a contract extension with Tyler Glasnow that will run through the 2024 season. So they'll have him for next year as well as the year after. The deal reportedly pays the Wasserman client $5.35 million in 2023, his final season of arbitration eligibility, and jumps to a hefty $25 million in 2024. So he definitely has a big incentive right there. And what I also like about this is I feel like this is good faith on the Rays because, obviously he's in arbitration. He's had the Tommy John. They're showing him some pretty good faith right here, saying like, hey, let's just do a deal. Let's just give you, $5 million for next year. Let's just settle that right now. And if you pitch well next season, then you're going to end up getting, then you can get $25 million in 2024. So, well, actually, no. So, it automatically, it's not an option. It jumps to $25 million. So, it doesn't matter if he pitches well or not. But it also contains potential bonuses dependent upon Glasnow's finishes in Cy Young balloting. So, that's the incentive part of it. If he does well, then he can end up getting money. So, apologies for that. I messed up on the details there. But I like that. I think it's good faith from the Rays. Hey, this guy had Tommy John. A lot of guys, they have Tommy John and their values they just diminish a lot. So I like that they're giving him a deal like this. So I think that's a great thing. So for the Rays, now if they get him back, also Julio Rodriguez, go check out the article that they wrote for Julio Rodriguez on Fangraphs. They're showing all of his projections here. Good little article they wrote here. So taking a look at the Rays. As of right now, the Rays, they are in second place in the AL East, 7.5 back in the division. Most likely they're going to get a wild card. But with their starting pitching, they've had some pretty decent starting pitching this year. I would imagine they're going to utilize him as a starter, I would think. But then again, it's pretty late in the season. Could they just utilize this guy out of the bullpen? Maybe as like a 2-3 inning kind of a guy. I could definitely see them going that route. And just because it is so late in the season, will they be able to really ramp him up? Because you probably want him to go up against some major league pitching. So I would think that... Oh, okay, yeah, it says right here. So it'll almost certainly come as a reliever, given that he doesn't seem to have enough time. Yeah, so I don't think he's going to be a starter. And I think for the Rays bullpen, I actually think that's a a nice little boost because their bullpen hasn't been the same bullpen that it has been in the last couple of years. So I do think that'll really give them a bit of a boost. If you take a look at Tampa Bay's bullpen rankings for the entire season, I mean, not bad by any means. 14th overall when it comes to the team rankings on Fangraphs with a 2.7 Fangraph WAR. If we take a look at the second half of the season, the Rays, where are they ranking in the second half? So they are doing a bit better compared to how they were doing in the first half. So they rank 8th overall in Fangraph WAR in the second half of the season. ERA under 3, a FIP right around 3.5, a pretty good XFIP right there. 9 strikeouts per 9. So the bullpen is definitely showing a lot of improvement in the last last month and a half or so. And I think just adding Glasnow to this, I think that's going to be a really nice boost, and getting into the playoffs, use him as, like a 2-inning, 3-inning guy. I mean, he can definitely open up some games for you. I think he'll be a weapon for the Rays if he shows that his velocity is already good, but if he's able to command his pitches, and I think for him, being a reliever might end up being a better option for him as of right now, because he won't have to, he can just kind of focus on just coming out of the bullpen, throwing strikes, throwing some heat, mixing in some, off-speed pitches as well. It's not as in-depth, coming out of the bullpen than it is being a starter. So I think that's actually going to be good for him, kind of work his way back in, but also just being a valuable piece for the Rays in the playoffs. So I think it's a really nice deal. I like it from the Rays' point of view because obviously, this is a guy, you're not going to be paying him anything next year, $5 million for next year, and who knows, he could end up. This guy was one of the better pitchers in the game. Obviously, there was the whole, the sticky tack thing, but that's another thing I'm going to be interested with. How is he going to do after, now that he's not going to have, that substance anymore? So we'll have to wait and see. But I like this deal for both sides. I like it from the Rays' point of view because they're getting him for cheap next year, and if he bounces back to his old form, $25 million, that could end up being a pretty nice bargain overall. But I like it from the Rays that they're giving, good faith as well. They're not, just letting this guy just get to free agency. They're saying, hey, we like you, man. We like you. And, hey, next year, $5 million, but $25 million in 2024. I think that's good faith, in all honesty. So, moving on here. Let's talk about our next story. One guy that is, hold on a second. What is my next story here? We got a big time player coming back here tonight. Big time player. I don't know if you know him. His name is Bryce Harper. I don't know if anyone knows about Mr. Bryce Harper. He's pretty good, if you ask me. But Bryce Harper returning to action tonight. It's been a long time since we have seen Bryce Harper. I think he had a walk-off hit the other night. Had a home run as well. Bryce Harper looking like the same old Bryce Harper. So the Phillies have reinstated reigning NL MVP Bryce Harper from the 60-day IL. Yairo Munoz was optioned to AAA. Harper is hitting cleanup in today's game for the Phillies, serving as the DH, a role he figures to occupy down the stretch as he continues to nurse a ligament tear in his throwing elbow. Don't forget about that. We're all thinking, Bryce Harper had the thumb, the broken thumb, but don't forget, he also had the elbow problem, so he'll be going back to the DH spot. So taking a look here at the Phillies. Now, looking at the Phillies lineup, I mean, obviously, when you're putting Bryce Harper back into this lineup, it has just been, that's just a really nice addition, if you ask me. Not too shabby. And this lineup has been doing pretty good. Without him, the Phillies have been playing pretty well. Actually, when did Bryce Harper get hurt? That was on June. What day did he get hurt? Bryce Harper injury. No, I want to see when he broke. What was the date? Broken thumb. June 26. So, if we were to take a look here at the team rankings. So, from June 26. Here we go to now. Oh, wow. About, 2 months exactly. He missed 2 months exactly. Wow. So, looking at the offense from the Phillies, 10th overall since Harper got hurt. A 109 WRC plus. That's pretty good if you ask me. If you take a look at batting average, they rank pretty well with the batting average. 6th overall in batting average since Harper got hurt. You know, they've been holding their own even without him, and now you're adding him back into the lineup. I mean, man, the Phillies, they just got a whole lot more dangerous. And hey, you're giving this guy another month before the end of the season. He's going to give him some time to, you know, shake off some rust. And he already looked pretty good on his rehab assignment. But, you know, it's going to give him a month to get ready for the playoffs. Granted, if they end up making it. If we go take a look at the standings right now. Here we go. MLB.com. Where are we at? So taking a look at the wild card as of right now. So you can pretty much mark the Phillies off for the division at this point. But for the Phillies, I mean, right now they're holding firm in the second wild card spot. They've been playing great baseball lately. And I mean, come on, you've won 5 straight games. You know, you're getting Harper back. I mean, you're just playing great baseball, and you're getting your MVP back. I mean, that's pretty nice if you ask me. I like what the Phillies have done, man. You know, this was a pretty big loss, like when they lost him, man. You know, I say pretty big, but it was a really big loss. Thank goodness that they signed Kyle Schwarber in the offseason, because that guy's just been a monster for them. But who knows where they'd be without him. With the Phillies, this is great. So I definitely think the Phillies are going to hang on and get that wild card. And as of right now, if the playoffs were to end today, the Phillies would be playing the Braves. So right now, San Diego, 10 games over 500, not playing great as of late. They're hanging on to that third wild card. Milwaukee sitting right there, game and a half back. San Francisco, you know, could they make a bit of a run? We'll have to wait and see. I would expect San Diego to hang on to this thing. But hey, you know, San Diego, they faded down the stretch last year. Could they do it again? But I like the Phillies. I think they're a dangerous team if they go into the playoffs. With, you know, got Wheeler and Nola at the top of that rotation, and now you got your MVP back. Good lineup. I mean, hey, for the Phillies, I think this is great. I think it's absolutely fantastic for the Philadelphia Phillies. However, there is one guy that will not be coming back this year. And, you know, I was a little excited to see him. I was a little excited. You know, my Red Sox, they have not been great. You know, they're pretty much done at this point, in my opinion. But, you know, I was excited to see James Paxton. I was excited to see him. And, you know, now we're not going to see him this year. I mean, what can you do? What can you do if you're James Paxton? You know, this guy has just been running through injuries just forever. You know, low back. What else we got here? Hand, forearm, chest, knee, elbow. Had Tommy John. Now it's his lat. You know, to me, I think they pushed him too far. You know, too soon. And for the Red Sox, what can you do? You know, this Red Sox team, they've just been bad. I said in the Believe in Red Sox podcast this past week, you know, that this was a make or break week for them. And I mean, they're in last place, 17 out in the division. I mean, how far out are they in the wild card now? They're 8 out. They're horrible. They've lost 4 straight games. So, you know, one thing that I was a little excited for was to maybe see Paxton. You know, at this point, I'm going to be honest with you. I really could rant right now. I really could. I don't know what the point. I mean, I don't know. I think if you're Chaim Bloom, I understand. I mean, I do think with Bogarts, he is going to opt for free agency. I think that is going to happen. I do wonder, was there a deal out there for him by the trade deadline? Was there a good enough deal? Or did they feel like, hey, let's just hang on to this guy? Because they probably thought too, trading Bogarts would create more negativity in the public eye. It would create negativity in the clubhouse. Because you have to weigh that stuff. I know I sit here and I talk about trades and I talk about making deals, but you know, there also is the human element of it too. So I do feel like there probably might have been a deal or two out there, but they probably thought, no, it's not worth it. You know, let's just keep the band together. Let's see if we can make a run. And I think that's what ended up happening. I think there just wasn't a good enough deal out there for him. And we'll have to, in the end, we'll have to just wait and see what he ends up doing. Could he end up staying with the Red Sox? I don't know, but I would expect that he is going to hit free agency. Same thing with JD Martinez. Was there a deal out there for him? Was there any kind of, were there more deals on the table? You could argue too, the whole Juan Soto thing kind of held up the market. So I don't know. I think for Chaim Bloom, he did what he could, but when you look back on it, it's like, Tommy Pham. I think they have Tommy Pham for next year. So there's a mutual option. Usually the mutual options don't happen. So, and Pham is playing pretty good. So I would expect that he might go back out into the free agent market. I don't know. I just wonder if there were other deals. I wonder if there were other deals. And because to me, it's like, what's the point of this team right now? There's no point. You got these guys at the end of the year, you're pretty much JD Martinez. He's probably going to get a nice send-off. People at Fenway Park, they're going to give him a round of applause. He's going to, wave his helmet to the crowd. And I think that's what it's going to end up being. This is a transition year now. I think last year they still had a lot of those players from the 2018 squad. You had some new faces as well. And, they went for it last year and they got pretty darn close. But I think this year it's just about riding it out. I don't see the Red Sox really doing anything at this point. I don't see them coming back. Who knows? Could they just explode in the month of September? I mean, they've gone on a run this year before. Do they have another one in them? I don't know. They're just not very healthy. But, with James Paxton, this is a guy where if we go take a look at the pay, I think is there an option for next year? So there's club options. So I would think they're going to exercise these club options. There is a player option for 2023 if they don't exercise the club option, but I would imagine they'll probably exercise it. I think this year, just write it off. This year is pretty much a wash anyway. And then you got him for next year. And, so are there two different? Okay, there's two. Okay, so if they do the club option, it's just going to activate 2023. So it won't activate 23 and 24. Okay, so I think it is just for the 1 year. I think they'll exercise it for the $13 million, and just see if it works out. But James Paxton, it is a bit of a bummer because this guy's gone through a lot of injuries, and you just want to see him pitch. When we have seen him pitch before, when he is on his game, he's really good. So hopefully they can get this guy healthy, and he can end up being a pretty nice piece for them next year. But James Paxton, man, wishing him the best. Heal up, my friend. Heal up. But we do have a guy. We talked about Bryce Harper coming back from the IL. James Paxton not coming from the IL. But let's talk about a guy that is coming up from the minor leagues. My goodness, it's about time. It's about time. Here we go. Cade Cavalli getting the call to Washington. I mean, at this point, I'm not surprised. You're at the end of the season. Let's give this guy a few starts. Cade Cavalli was actually not doing all that great. Not doing all that great in the beginning of the season. He was having some bumpy outings there. Now, taking a look here, Baseball America, Cade Cavalli, the number 52 overall prospect. Taking a look at the scouting report, according to Baseball America, a 70 fastball, 55 changeup, 60 slider, 55 curveball. Decent control. Few pitchers can match Cavalli on pure stuff. He's got good stuff, man. Coming out of college, big fastball, really nice slider. The slider just disappears, man. His mid to high 90s fastball, as well as his plus slider curveball, will dominate for short stretches, but at times his command betrays him. If Cavalli can harness his stuff, he has frontline upside. Now, taking a look at Cavalli's numbers this year, overall pretty good. 20 starts, 3.71 ERA, a FIP at 3.23, strikeouts per 9 at 9.6, 3.6 walks per 9. So definitely an improvement over last year at AAA and AA. So I still think he could get those down a little bit, especially with major league pitching. You definitely want to get those more down as you can. But taking a look at his game log throughout this year, If you go back to his first few starts of the year, he was having some issues. 4 innings in his first 3 starts, 4 earned here, 5 earned here, 3 earned here. Had a couple of other bumpy outings as well. 6 earned here, 5 earned here, gave up 4 there. But he has looked a lot better as of late. If you go back here to July 6th, he had a 7-inning outing, only gave up 2 hits, no runs, struck out 7. He's had pretty nice outings since that point. Not really walking a ton of guys, a couple here, a few there. But the walks have definitely improved, so it looks like he took a turn. He had a 3-inning outing at the end of June where he gave up 3 earned, struck out 5, had a couple of walks. But it looks like at that point he figured something out, and the Nationals just feel like, hey, let's just give this guy some time in the major leagues. He had 11 strikeouts a couple of starts ago, over 7 innings, a fantastic outing for him against the Baltimore AAA team. So I think it's worth it calling this guy up. You might as well. If you're the Nationals, what do you really, you're not playing for anything. This is your top guy. This is your top pitching prospect. See what this guy can do. He's probably going to get roughed up a couple of times. That usually tends to happen. Who knows? Maybe he ends up doing really good too. But you might as well give these young guys some opportunities here. See what they can give you. See what you got going in for next year. I would imagine the Nationals are not really going to be all that great next year. But hey, you know what? This guy, he's been pitching great. You might as well just see what you got and see what he can do. And hey, you might as well get his feet wet as soon as you can. So I like it. I like the move for the Nationals. Might as well call up these young guys. But here we go. I got a bone to pick here. Last story of the night. Man, oh man, the Angels. They stink. My Red Sox stink, but man, the Angels, they stink, man. And earlier this week, we had a pretty interesting story here. Arte Moreno exploring possible sale of the Angels. And you know what? It's about time. Enough's enough. Get this guy out. Get out. You're not doing anything for this team. You've been here for how long? I think you took over in 2003 after they had won the World Series. Who was the owner back in 2003? This was Walt Disney. And then Arte Moreno, he just purchased him after that. So, yeah, I don't know, man. This guy has not done a thing for they had, some playoff appearances there in the late 2000s, but they haven't made the playoffs since 2014. You've had some good players come in, obviously, Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani. But to me, this organization, as of late, it has just not done anything. You need a new guy here. You need a new voice. You need someone to turn this ship around. Look what Steve Cohen did with the Mets. I'm just saying. This organization has money, man. They got pieces in this organization that there's no excuse. They did go out there and they made some moves. And, picking up Noah Syndergaard, couple of pieces for the bullpen. I thought some of it was all right. And I thought they were looking really good in the early part of the season. Then what do they lose? Like 14 straight games. You fired Joe Madden. And it's like, I just think this whole organization is a mess. It always starts from the top. If there's problems within an organization, it always starts at the top and it trickles down. You can't just sit here and blame players. You can't just sit here and blame coaches. It's the way the organization is run. To me, I think you just don't have the right people in the right places. Scouting department has obviously not done good. If you take a look at the Baseball America organizational rankings, the Angels rank 29th. You're not developing players. Sure, you developed Trout. You've had a couple of decent guys. You had Brandon Marsh, and then you just trade the guy away. You got O'Hoppe. That's pretty nice. But, what have they done? Who have they developed besides Trout? If we go take a look at the Angels here, I'm going blank on someone. If we were to look actually, at the breakdowns. So they have 9 homegrown players. They have 9 homegrown players on this team. While if you take a look here, the Royals have 16, Cleveland has 13. Look at the Houston Astros here, 13. You know, St. Louis, 13 homegrown players. Now, if you take a look at free agents, LA, where's LA at? So they got 6 free agents here. LA, they've made 8 trades. So yeah, I don't know, man. You know, they just don't have a whole lot when it comes to just player development. You obviously got Trout. Ohtani obviously was a huge pickup for them. That's not someone they really developed in the minor leagues, though. I mean, you just don't really have. I mean, you have Reed Detmers. You drafted him a couple years ago. Sandoval as well. You know, there's just not a whole lot going on in this organization. I don't think you have the right people in the scouting department. I don't think you have the right people in player development. I think it really goes deeper into the organization. I think, like, if you're adding a guy like Joe Madden, I mean, sure, that can help, but you're not really getting to the root of the problem. You're not getting into, you got to have the right people in the minor leagues to develop these players into major league ready players. Yes, they've hit on a couple, but there has not been sustained success with the Angels for a long time now. And the guy that's running the whole thing is Arte Moreno. And players have not wanted to go there? Really, all that? Really, like, what was the last big free agent that they had? If we were to look at the Angels here, they never get pitching. That's one thing they've never really been able to get is pitching. You know, Garrett Cole, that was a possibility at Trevor Bauer. Obviously, that whole thing happened with Trevor Bauer, but there's not really been. I mean, you got Rendon. That was another one. You did get Rendon, but when it comes to pitching, who was the last pitcher they got? You know, I'm trying to think. You had C.J. Wilson a long time ago when he was with the Rangers and he signed with the Angels, and that didn't work out really all that much. Ohtani, you know, yeah, you've hit on a couple, but you don't have the sustainable success. Right, you don't have these guys, you know, yeah, you got some superstar players, but you're top heavy, you know, and Rendon has been a complete bust so far. You've made a couple of trades, but you just don't have a spine of the team, you know. You got some muscle, right, but your tendons are just weak, right? You don't got the foundation. They don't have it. You know, when you got a farm system that ranks 29th overall, you had guys like Joe Adell, who was a top prospect, Brandon Marsh, who was a higher ranked prospect. What did those guys end up doing? Brandon Marsh isn't even there anymore. What's Joe Adell doing at this point? Where is he? Joe Adell, what is he even doing? I mean, this guy's terrible. Like, he was a top prospect at one point. He was a top 3 prospect. It was a big deal when he got called up, and look what's happened to him. This organization stinks. You don't have anything. So, I don't know. I think Arte Moreno needs to go. I think he needs to go. I mean, you've had, I don't know, man. There's been a lot of Angels fans out there that are just kind of tired of it. You know, seems to care more about just selling tickets instead of actually putting a good product on the field. Cares more about having just, you should have traded Shohei Ohtani. Sorry. Should have traded him. You would have gotten a haul back for him. Look what the Nationals did. You traded Juan Soto, a much younger player, a unicorn of a player. You got a haul of a package back. You got a fantastic package. You got a bad farm system. And look what you did. You went from like the 24th, 25th ranked farm system to top 10. With that package that you got. Fantastic. That's what the Nationals needed to do. The Angels needed to trade Ohtani. I don't know why they didn't. You want to know why they didn't? Because they'd be losing a ton of money when it comes to bobblehead sales, ticket sales, t-shirt sales, jersey sales, Shohei Ohtani sales all over the place. That's going to be great for the short term. Where's the long-term sustainability here? You got nothing. You want to have long-term success? You got to have sufficient player development. You got to have good scouting. You got to have those things in place. Yeah, sure, Shohei Ohtani's going to give you some money, but what is it doing for you? I mean, yeah, it's cool, you're selling hot dogs, but your organization stinks and there's no end in sight, There's no fix in sight here. So I think you got to get rid of this guy, get him out. Let's get a guy at the top that understands long term. Obviously it's not working. Get a guy in here that understands, like Steve Cohen. He understood what the Mets needed to do. Yeah, they had to go out and spend some money. They had to really fork over a couple pennies. But if you look, the Mets have been doing good when it comes to drafting the last couple of years, and also international signings. How many international signings have the Angels made? I don't fully. Let me see here. I don't know where I could look that up. Let me see here. MLB international signings by team. So how many international signings did they make this year? So you made a few. A couple of guys. But this is another department, Again, scouting in the United States, but also scouting out internationally. So I think this whole organization needs to just be fixed. And you have to have a guy in place that understands that. And Arte Moreno doesn't really seem to understand that. He has too much of an ego. And he's not willing to stink, to build long term, So I don't know. Those are my thoughts on Arte Moreno. It's really frustrating, because the Angels, they've had great teams in the past. And it's just kind of sad to see what's going on here. He did have a statement here. It has been a great honor and privilege to own the Angels for 20 seasons. As an organization, we have worked to provide our fans an affordable and family-friendly ballpark experience while fielding competitive lineups, which include some of the game's all-time greatest players. That's the ego right there. This is the ego. This is ridiculous. This is an absolutely ridiculous statement, which includes some of the game's all-time greatest players. Dude, your team stinks. Who cares if you have Mike Trout? Who cares if you have Shohei Ohtani? People talk more about the fact that Mike Trout isn't in the playoffs. You're out of your mind. This guy is so egotistical. It's like, dude, I get it. It's good PR. It's good public relations, but you're a clown. Like, just saying this, some of the competitive lineups, some of the game's all-time greatest players. Cool. How many times have you made the playoffs? Like, get out of here, dude. Although this difficult decision was entirely our choice and deserved a great deal of thoughtful consideration, my family and I have ultimately come to the conclusion that now is the time. Throughout this process, we will continue to run the franchise in the best interest of our fans, employees, players, and business partners. Yeah, you guys stink. You guys stink, and you're an absolute joke, and you're a joke for even writing something like that. Get out of here. Get out. Get out. Angels fans, you're going to be so excited when that guy leaves. Everyone, I'm going to get out of here. That's all the news that I got for tonight. Just a quick little show. Just wanted to kind of go over a couple of things. Julio Rodriguez, big extension. Who knows how that ends up going. Bryce Harper is back. Tyler Glasnow back with the Rays for a couple more years. Hey, man, Cade Cavalli going to be pitching a little bit with the Nationals. Arte Moreno and the Angels, they stink. But everyone, that's all I have for tonight. I want to thank you for stopping by. Have yourself a great weekend. We will be back Sunday night for the weekly power rankings. I will see you all then. Have yourself a great night, and I'll talk to you next time.